Welcome to the Don't Die Rusty podcast. I'm Rick Hansen, and we will be talking about living, not dying. We're all on this adventure together, and we will be interviewing people who inspire us to live our best lives. People with various backgrounds who will walk us down the trails they took to not die rusty. Adventure in life are many things to many people. It could be a sprint or an endurance race, but with each adventure, we become a better version of us. We hope you keep chasing those dreams, being the best you, and of course, don't die rusty. Well, Don't Die Rusty Nation, I'm here in the Black Hills of South Dakota at Terry Peak with Ricky Rulli, my co-host. And we will say, I was trying to think of a good word, but we'll say Melissa right here. Hello. Yes.
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 Melissa Bardfield.
Well, I didn't want to screw it up because I said Bardfield the last time we did this. I figured she'd say something here. You know, but here's the deal right now. If this comes out on video, I feel like I'm between two archers instead of like between the ferns with Zach Galifianakis.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yes.
We met Melissa last year. I was lucky enough to meet you when a black bear went and ate up a target, and Frank and I had to go clean it up a little bit. And you're standing there behind us with trying to protect all of us here. And that's the first time I ever met you. And then we were up here at Terry Peak, and Frank said, "Can you go shooting with Melissa?" And I was trying to think, did I meet Melissa? And then I got up here and I came up as my alter ego, Shooter Blanks, and talked to you, and then I came back to go shoot with you, and you didn't even know who I was.
Who was that guy? But yeah, I spent quite a lot of time chatting with Frank and he was like, you'd love my friend Rick. And I actually met him.
Yeah.
So when the bear was eating the target, Big Sky, it was kind of an epic moment.
It was an epic moment.
My first close encounter with a bear. We all knocked our arrows.
Yeah. But Ricky, I'm going to introduce Melissa now because she's truly an inspiration. She'd be an inspiration if I was a woman. She's an inspiration as I'm a man. But I mean, you are an adventurous person. I'm not trying to give you a big head or anything here either. But I mean, you inspire me because with the independence and the knowledge and the curiosity you have. And I can go say you're a ninja instructor, but I'm not going to say that. I just guess I did.
Ninja. Technically, ninjas do ninjitsu, and I do Jiu Jitsu. But calling someone a ninja is like the highest accolade in my vocabulary.
Well, you're a ninja to me.
Ninja is like the coolest.
All right.
Ninja. So.
But before we get going, we'll introduce you. Can you just tell us all the many things you've done?
I've done a lot of stupid things, so I won't talk about those. I'm a third-degree black belt under Renzo Gracie in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I opened up a school 14 years ago in Sint Maarten. So I've been teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Sint Maarten. I now have 2 black belts under me, so we just graduated them this past year. So yeah, when people ask what I do for a living, I can say I strangle children, or I get strangled and beat up by kids. I have a big kids program and also adults, obviously, as well. So that's my main what I like to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you've done a lot of other things too.
Yes. Yep. Prior to that, I was also an instructor at Sig Sauer Academy. I was an adjunct instructor. I was a DJ. I was a radio DJ. I worked for a record label. Yeah.
And here's the most amazing thing is we climb a mountain and don't know each other, and now we know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the friendly part about just today we are 4 hours on the mountain, and we have all little conversations.
Yeah.
And Ricky tells you that you're on the Range podcast with the. After we shoot, it's woo.
Yeah, I can't make it. So after I shoot, when that moment when you release an arrow and it feels good and you can call your shots and you know you're going to hit, and then it hits foam and you hear it hit foam, it's like, it's just a happiness sound. Yeah. So I can't recreate it without the moment of that anticipation of sending a projectile and having it hit where you aimed.
I'll throw the clip in.
Woo!
Heard it.
But yeah, so on the Range podcast, I put at the end of it, for the video, it was me shooting at the moose target last year here at TAC, and then you make the sound, and it's a celebration.
Yeah, it is.
And so it's been on the part of probably like 15 or maybe more of our episodes at the end. And when you and then like I said, I change it from time to time, so I hadn't heard it in a while. And then when you did that, I had like this visceral like memory bringing me back to all the episodes that I had done, and so I brought it back. But it's awesome. I love it. It's just it's just part of. It's like brought back all those memories. You know what I mean? It's like,
it is.
Yeah.
And
Boo!
That was awesome.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. And I feel lucky to have got to know you. I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're in my inner circle now.
Thank you. I'm honored. I truly am.
And I don't let I don't let a lot of people in that inner circle, but you are.
Thanks.
It's
Rick.
good. It's good, and you're on the inception of a year ago of the Don't Die Rusty podcast.
That's right.
Because Ricky and I did this podcast right out. It was nice enough to be outside, and we got done, and we talked about like this is kind of where I wanted to go. So this could be like a year anniversary of the inception of the Don't Die Rusty podcast.
That's where it all started.
It's where it all started.
Yeah.
So we're lucky to have you.
Thanks. Thank
So,
you.
but this is about Melissa. So, did you get number 2 or number 1 in the world in jiu-jitsu?
No.
No, you didn't.
No. I came in, I lost in the finals 3 years in a row in the Master Worlds. So in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's one of the main organizations, the IBJJF, International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. They have the World Championships, and then they have the Master Worlds. So the Master Worlds are for age 30 and above. And every few years is, Master 1, Master 2, Master 3. So there's different categories. So to say you're a world champion and say you're a Master World Champion, those are two very, very different categories. So anyone can compete in the adult category, but you have to be of a certain age to shoot to compete in Masters. So no.
See, I'm learning this.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. I just know that I'm old.
Yeah,
so
as am I.
So maybe someday I could get into the super senior masters, and there'd only be 2 people, and I'd get second.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And not break a hip, I hope.
Yeah, right. you need your hips for jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So now I focus on my school and teaching and building up a program and building up my students. So
And we'll put this on where you can follow Melissa, but I follow you every post you make. I enjoy watching all the posts you make about teaching your kids and putting an influence in the world. Because I do believe that I had somebody tell me the other day about, I think I've only reached like half the people I've talked to. I said, if you reached half the people you talk to, that means if they talk to half the people you talk to, then you keep on building. And you're building people in St. Maarten's, because Melissa lives in St. Maarten's most of the time. And then she comes to Total Archery Challenges part of the time. And I see what you do. Like you have a lot of dogs.
yes, only 2. I wish I could have all of the dogs, but living in an apartment and traveling, like 2 is really the maximum that I can handle.
Yes.
I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu helped me a lot, and it's a sport where I think any sport that a kid's going to do, or any kind of endeavor that they can put their heart and soul into and win and lose is character building. I read a statistic about the number of Fortune 500 CEOs, how many of them played college sports, and how that builds your teamwork and your leadership skills. But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is different than a lot of other sports, because when you lose, you give it your all and you literally submit, you tap, like you tried your best and someone got the better of you. So learning how to tap is really, it can be difficult, and it can be tough for a lot of kids, and and also learning to win humbly, and trying your hardest up until the last point where, okay, no, I got to tap or my arm's going to get broken. So knowing that, that point that you can try your damn hardest, and then giving up when you have to give up. So it can be seen as life lessons for everything. You get into an argument with your wife, and at some point you're going to have to say, you know what? I'm sorry, you're right. Like, you tap out, and just in life in general.
Yeah.
I hate hearing that one.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though. That's a great way to look at it. I never really thought about, what that can teach, teach youth and how to submit. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I learn, like, in archery or in hunting, we'll say, I mean, I'm trying to correlate, but there's a lot of people that don't cheer on other people.
Mm-hmm.
You get a bigger elk than I do, or a bigger deer than I do, I'm putting you down.
Mm-hmm.
Where I just look at that as just be humble and be happy with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I see the discipline of learning how to tap out and say, you know what, you got the best of me today, but tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
Kind of like a target.
Mm-hmm.
Like the target got best of me.
Mm-hmm.
Number 28 got, or 21 got best of me, but I'm going to shoot number 22 and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then wasn't it 22 that got the best of me, right? Where I forgot my bow.
Yeah, that's different than having, that's discipline of remembering the bow.
It's operator error. User error.
I still claim it's all a part of the superpower.
Well, at least you didn't get shot.
Yeah.
Right? I know. Oof.
That would be a bad day.
For sure.
But you've also helped people, like, get into your classes too. You were telling us the last time, because we did a podcast with Melissa and we had technical difficulties, and so this is, I actually feel luckier more lucky or whatever, because we've had more conversations since then.
Mm-hmm.
But like last year, we won the Sitka. I won that Sitka thing, and I told you that gift certificate.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm going to try find a young person to give it to. Actually, I found an old person to give it to. But it doesn't matter in that aspect. It's about keeping people interested.
Mm-hmm.
And you've helped people in your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a tough time sometime. I better just say what you do.
Jiu-Jitsu. You say BJJ.
Yeah, okay.
Martial art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have, and you're influencing people.
Yeah, I have like a petri dish of all these kids and seeing how they win and lose and work together and get along, because you are kind of endeavoring in it. It's a solo kind of voyage, but you have to, all of your training is with other people, is with a team, is with your teammates. So you're, practicing. So kids have to learn how to get along, and adults too. It can be a lot harder for adults, to train with people that you may not like in the beginning, and you have to learn to get along and work with people and help each other. And ultimately everyone wants to get better on their own, but you don't get better by not trying new things and putting yourself out there. If you keep doing the same thing, you get the same results. So you need to have people that you can train with, that you can trust with the own health of your body parts, that they're not going to permanently hurt you, that you can
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because I was telling you at Big Sky last week, I talked to a guy that said, you're putting on the Don't Die Rusty podcast. You should go do stuff that doesn't make you rusty, like go do some of the stuff with your guests. So like I was telling you on the mountain, Ricky and I might not have to come down here, and you'll have to choke out two old guys.
Come to St. Martin.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
And that's a trust that you wouldn't like keep on choking me out like if somebody paid you or whatever.
Yeah, we do break falls first. There's a process. We're not just going to throw you in there and heel hook you.
That's why you got to learn how to just submit.
Right?
How to tap. Maybe we need to have that lesson first before you choke us out.
Right.
But I'm not afraid for you to kick my ass. That's all right.
Wouldn't do that.
All right. Even if Cindy paid you.
Yeah.
Well, for the camera, for the gram, for the gram.
For the gram.
So I'm curious, and for our listeners also. So when you're traveling around and you're doing the Toller Archery Challenge, you're living the van life, which I'm super envious of. Something me and my wife have always dreamed to do, and we'll get to that. But so as far as like being in St. Martin, tell us a little bit about like, have you always been there, or what brought you there?
My dad worked there when I was a kid, so I went back and forth. So after I finished high school, I was like, I'm going to become a scuba instructor. I'm just going to stay here. I don't want to, be in the States and go to college. So I worked in St. Martin right after high school for a year, and we got hit by a big hurricane. Then it was Hurricane Lewis in 1995.
Okay.
So I learned a lot, about life through that. And then after that, went to college. I went to the University of Vermont for 4 years, and I designed a major in ecotourism. So it was an individual design major. I didn't like any of the regular majors, so I went through and I picked all of the courses that I wanted to take. And the intention was to use tourism as a means for conservation. But unfortunately, I think for an island like St. Martin, the island was already developed for tourism, so it was an afterthought. So it's kind of a difficulty, like, that you're going to kill the golden goose with, bringing tourists to a place. It is ultimately gonna not end well.
Right.
But I ended up doing morning talk radio. Right, it was a first job after college, so it was a shock radio program in St. Martin. So I mentioned this earlier so it was shock radio, so we could make up anything. We would do stunts, and I actually had to pretend to be a vegan because we had Tony Bourdain often, he vacationed in St. Martin, so he was often on the show. So to make it more, interesting, to have Tony Bourdain, celebrity chef, is having a vegan who wants, the sauce on the side and still orders dessert. And so I was just like a punching bag, so we made up a lot of things just for the listening, just for entertainment. Like I went up for arthroscopic surgery on my ankle, and we told everyone that I was getting a boob job, so everyone could call in and have an opinion of go big or go medium or this, like everyone. That's something everyone could talk about. Right. So we made up a lot of stories, and that's the beauty of radio, is you can be elaborate and make up anything, and just be descriptive of it. Which is kind of neat how podcasting has kind of taken over that. I've been spending a lot of time driving, so I'm entertained by a lot of podcasts and just listening to the audio and the stories that you can tell, you know.
Right. And so, and I'm only saying this because I actually had to look this up. I know now, but explain to our listeners, like geographically, where St. Martin is.
It's in the Caribbean. So Eastern Caribbean, it's a country that's the smallest landmass that has two countries. So we're half Dutch and half French. And I live on the Dutch side, but then my archery club is on the French side. We have a lot of people that speak Spanish because it's close to Dominican Republic and Haiti. And so it's a big mix of cultures, but it's an international island. It's an international flight to get there. So things are a little bit different. So some of the difficulties we had with the podcast is our internet coverage isn't great. So it was probably my internet that was lagging and the problem. Right now we have a big issue with our utility companies. There's load shedding, power failures every day. And so it's a little bit different. People go, the grass is, it must be nice to live in the Caribbean. It's like, it must be nice that your phone works when you, when you pick it up and, certain things that you depend on. But all in all, my family lives there, and it's a beautiful place to live, and it's a small community. And but what makes it even better is traveling a little bit and then coming back. to my home. So hence the van life.
Yeah.
And the only reason I think I can do this is because I don't have children. So it's a lot easier to, you know, pack up the dogs and travel around. So,
Yeah.
you know, life choices and
Right.
But you are an auntie.
yes, I'm an auntie, a favorite aunt, I'd like to say. I'm around kids all day, all week.
Yeah.
In my real life. So
And
it's
funny because I have no kids either. And the funny thing is I used to talk to like older people that didn't have kids and this and that, and they said, you do not have to have kids to influence the world. In jiu-jitsu and the being an auntie, you're influencing the world.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have 3 different age groups of kids. So 5 and 6, 7 and 9, and 10 to 13. And we teach each group very differently. You know, by the 3rd group, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad to see you guys, because they don't have to be like, tie your belt, put your jacket on, like line up. You know, they can all spar at the same time, and they don't need to be, you know, but the younger kids are really fun too, because everything is, if you make it into a game, they love it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
like,
awesome.
and that's the fun thing of knowing, okay, this is the skill that I want to teach. How do we make this fun? How do we make this into a game? So they don't realize they're learning, you know, jiu-jitsu. Like we do a game called Monkey in the Tree, where we stand with your arms out like a T, and you stand, and they have to climb on your back and climb around to the front and then back to the back. And then the winner is the one that does it fastest, obviously without falling. So like the floor is lava. So the kids are really learning, you know, back control and how you know, it's a jiu-jitsu game, but it's fun. You know, they just know it as, you know, the tree game.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm the tree and they're the monkey. They come around. So, and adults can do it too, and it's a lot harder with someone your own weight as an adult.
I
But
believe that.
So
you know, just small things like that. This is just so much fun with kids. And they're wearing, with the gi, so they're wearing a kimono, like a traditional judo style jacket. So it's like the kids have handles. You can pick them up, throw them around. If they're sparring and they're going out of bounds, you can just grab them by their jacket and pull them in. And, you know, it's a really fun sport.
So you're saying that the Mr. Miyagi's techniques for having Danielson clean his cars and sand his deck wouldn't work with these kids?
No, but they do love, we clean the mat. Since COVID, we put a lot more, obviously, cleaning protocols, and I'm really try to keep my dojo very, very clean, and the mats clean. But in between classes, we spray the mats and mop them and clean them with a special mop, and all the kids want to help. They all want to spray, they all want to mop. So they,
cool.
you know, there is something to it. But I think also because they see the teen coaches do it and they want to be like the teens, and, you know.
That was, I would say that was the biggest thing that I probably got out of the martial arts training that I did with Taekwondo, was just the disciplinary stuff. But to your point, a lot of gyms that I went to, they just smell like feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I went to Henzo Gracie Academy in New York, I had the address and there weren't any signs outside, and I said, "Is this the right?" And then I just followed my nose. Like, yeah, it's in the basement. I know that smell. Yeah. So I really try and keep things clean.
Yeah, that's good.
But I haven't yet gotten any kids to wash my car. That'd be great. If anyone's listening to that would be.
Yeah.
No.
So how did you get into the van life?
When I was working in New Hampshire in the summers, and when that job kind of faded out, I knew that the next summer that's what I really wanted to do that. And I rented one and drove it from California to Arizona, just to know, okay, can I handle this on the highway? And it's 19 feet long, so it still fits in a regular parking spot. And it's huge mirrors, so it was like easy to drive and how to handle. And I had a friend of mine who was a mechanic, who I was looking and trying to build one out, and it was just very, very, very expensive. And a mechanic friend, found this company, Outside Van, and said, "This is a great company," and picked one out for me and said, "This is a good price, this is a good mileage, this is a good man for you, it doesn't have anything you don't need," and is, so if I hadn't had that kind of reassurance of someone who knows far more about, engines and I don't think I would have pulled the trigger and done it. But I knew that I wanted to do all these total archery challenges out west. The first time when I picked up a bow, I said, okay, it just something clicked. Like, this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to sound so corny and cheesy, but it was like everything in my life has prepared me for this. And when I pulled back a bow, I'm like, okay, I want to get lethally accurate with this and then hunt. Because I'd always kind of known that I wanted to hunt because I eat meat. But contrary to my former radio personality, I do eat meat. And I think I have a moral and ethical obligation to understand where that meat comes from. So I always knew that I wanted to hunt. But then with the bows, it just kind of made sense that would be it. And I knew that it was going to take a lot of time and a lot of arrows and a lot of practice to be able to have my technique be ready for hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I first heard about Total Archery Challenge, I was like, wow, that sounds awesome. I want to do that. I just, to be, out in the mountain and shooting foam animals and the different, so I went to my first Total Archery Challenge. I didn't know anyone, and it was in the time period of the, carnival school vacation. And I went to Total Archery Challenge in San Antonio, Texas, and didn't know anyone. I just booked my tickets and I went, and I had so much fun. And it was such a good experience and such a contrast between, because I was doing some USPSA pistol competitions, and so focused on your score and your hit factor and not the enjoyment of it. Not like, are you having fun? Was that a fun course to shoot? And Total Archery Challenge was the exact opposite. And it was just, one of the first people I met, Jody, big sexy from Kifaru.
Yep.
It was the first. I walked in and said, "Who are you here with this?" I came by myself. And then that night at the Warrior Rising barbecue, he's like, "Hey, Mel, come sit with us. Like, we're your people now," and just kind of just welcomed me in, and everyone did, So yeah, I have to, give it up to everything that the Total Archery Challenge has built with this amazing community and bringing all these bow hunters and archers and like-minded people together, because man, these courses will really test you. You think you know archery, and then you step out here and it's it's a challenge. It's fun.
It teaches you things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's so easy. And I think when you spend 4 hours shooting a course with someone, doing something as difficult and as challenging as archery is, you can't fake it. I can't pretend like I'm a hotshot archer if you're, the proof is in the pudding.
100%.
And it's so easy. It's such a gear-related sport, if sport is the right word,
it is.
Pursuit, that your gear has to be dialed and your sight has to be dialed, and it'd be so easy to blame your sight or blame your arrow or blame this, instead of being like, oh, I forgot about my bubble, or I didn't follow through, or I X, Y, and Z. It really shows how you can succeed or not.
Well, you're disappointing me here. Now I'm running out of excuses.
That's like all those veins that I had blow off of my arrows today.
Right.
I went to the AAE booth and I said, I got a bone to pick with you guys. Your veins keep flying off of my arrows, and it's your fault. And they both started cracking up. And I'm like, no, really, I know it was my fault. But
then sometimes it may be. Sometimes something may have been broken or something. Your peep got twisted or.
She's taking away all my excuses. Oh. Come on now.
Well, we can't
I stepped on a log and you're whatever.
But we can't say that the target ran away.
That's right. That's true.
It jumped the string.
That's true. I have a question for you. This is one that I think you can answer. Did you shoot a bow before Total Archery Challenge? Like, you didn't shoot any 3D or anything before you came to a Total Archery Challenge, did you?
No.
Because it's so fun talking to a person that just gets into archery and goes to a 3D shoot, and you're constantly learning. Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying about this is, when we were in Big Sky, I talked to, I'm off the top of my head, 4 or 5 people. Mm-hmm. That they just like to go shoot 3D targets. They don't want to hunt. But the bow in the hand is fun.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying, where I'm trying to go with this is, like, you picked up the bow and you started shooting and you're having a great time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started with Jiu Jitsu, with my martial arts, and then picked up a pistol. I got injured. So I was training for the Master Worlds. I got injured. I started taking classes at 6 Hour Academy, fell in love with shooting, and I shot my first pistol competition. And the next day it was like, wow, I can turn my neck and I'm not sore. And this is amazing. And I got the same, heart thumping, like shooter ready, stand by. Like, it's the same as combat, which is, how they start matches. So I got the same kind of, fun. Adrenaline isn't the right word. Just kind of nervous excitement that I got. And then archery just really filled that even more than just, manipulating a trigger, just the whole body and the silence of it, and seeing your arrow and the thwack, the sound. I mean, it really, really loved it. So yeah, I'm an adult onset hunter. I didn't make up that term, but I really like that. So, I love archery. I love shooting arrows. I don't know why it's so fun just to send a projectile, and our compound bows is a pretty amazing technology. And I regret that I didn't start with a traditional bow first, or a recurve, because it's a lot harder to go from, a compound to a recurve. I think it would be a lot easier to go the other direction.
Yeah. But it's one of those things, like, when this whole thing started, I mean, this is where Ricky and I met, is this. In the people, but it's funny how a bow can draw people together, and you can keep on learning.
Yeah. And
we were joking earlier about, like, you're taking all the excuses of why I miss or something like this away from me.
Yeah.
Like my peep was twisted or whatever.
That'll never happen. Not with our strings.
No, it will never happen. But or my fletching was loose, or I lost one, or my arrow was bent because but I can't use that because I don't shoot aluminum arrows. But where I'm going with this, is the peace that we achieve out there. Like, you can go shoot by yourself, or you can go shoot with people. And I just find it so, I don't know, I find an inner peace when I find the right people to shoot with. Because, and then if, say that first target this morning where I put on my raincoat and I knew it was too tight because I put it over my over my binoculars, and I thought this isn't going to be good, but I didn't want to get all wet, and I missed the target and it explodes. But it's one of those things that I can come back. I have the confidence to come back, and the next target, I'm not worried about that last target. I'm looking to the next target with confidence that I have confidence that I'm going to go up and shoot that target. I don't have confidence. I mean, I'm not the guy that's going to go, I hope I don't miss.
Right.
In all the shooters we shot with today, Ricky, you, me, Matt, we all had that confidence when we walked up that target. And that says a lot to me. Like, I don't know, you can, because I've never been in jiu-jitsu, but it's like, you're coming back with confidence, like, I'm going to get you the next target.
Yeah, like if you fall forward. You got to learn from, if we miss, we have to understand why. Why did we miss? Yeah. An old instructor told me, what did you see? What did you feel? How did it go? Ask yourself those questions and say, what did I see? Oh, okay, I forgot to line in my bubble. Or what did I feel? Oh, I, punch a trigger, depending on what your release is. But you have to, be ready to get better with every shot that we miss.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot my bow at target 21.
Yeah.
That really doesn't have an excuse.
That's a lot easier to fix.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Of all of our archery issues, that one is probably.
Because you do need a bow to shoot the arrows. Even if you have the arrows,
Yeah, sometimes you draw the bow back and you forget to put an arrow in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, I had my arrow and I'm like, oh, I got no bow to knock it to.
Yeah, well, that's why I always walk with holding my arrow, so I won't dry fire. And and that's a danger if I miss and I haven't pulled the next arrow out of my quiver. You know, just today, twice I knocked my release on. I didn't even draw back, but I put my release on. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. And for people that don't do archery that are listening, if you draw a compound bow and release it without an arrow, you will break your bow.
Yes.
And maybe yourself too.
And maybe yourself.
A little bit.
It'll be bad.
Yeah.
And it sounds horrible. It's a very bad
ugly
sound.
sound.
Like
it's like
branch just breaking or limbs.
As long as it's your not bow and nobody got hurt, it's kind of like, I'm glad it wasn't me.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
It is.
Yeah.
Because I just love archery in the whole aspect, and I try to say it's that lifelong sport that you should be able to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And maybe someday you won't be able to hunt like you did when you were younger, but you can still shoot that bow. And it's going to be that lifelong thing, and it's a lifelong sport. And that's where I love to see young people come into it.
Absolutely. I love seeing little kids shooting, you know, having their little bows and father sons and mother daughter. You know, I haven't seen actually any mother daughters. I've seen one mother son combo. But yeah, it's great to see. And my archery, I'd shoot target archery back home, and it's all ages from 8 up. And so you have these young kids doing the same thing and having the same, you know, joys and triumphs and sorrows when you don't score well. And it's it's a good family. It's good, clean fun.
Yes,
archery.
And we don't have people saying be quiet because you have a kid.
Yeah, that's my favorite. When at target archery, be quiet. Like heaven forbid someone forgot to put their phone on silent.
And today I had my phone in your face taking a picture, and you were hearing. I had my speaker on, so you're hearing click, 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 click.
You don't have to. Everyone. Yeah, but we're outside. There's flies buzzing on your nose and bees almost stinging you, and you've got to, shoot through it and hopefully not hit the trees.
Yeah, I know.
Random people coming into your sight picture when they forgot their bow.
Exactly.
But you're never gonna live that down. You're never.
I'm killing it. I'm using the Eminem approach. You know what I mean? You can't make fun of me if I'm making fun of myself.
That's right.
True. Yeah, we weren't gonna bring it up, but it's
yeah, right. Oh, it'll be brought up. I'll never live that down.
Yeah.
Ever.
Because I might. How about I bring it up right now? If we're doing Eminem.
Sure.
Don't lose yourself.
On your way to the 8 Mile.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But no, I'm lucky. We're lucky to be here talking to you. So, like, how does it? You've seen probably more. I know you've seen more of America than I have. How does it feel like traveling in your van? I'm going to go back to the van stuff because I get on tangents.
It's really incredible how different parts of the country are. Up in Boston, my mom lives part-time in a suburb of Boston, and people are still wearing masks outside. They're driving alone in their cars with masks. It's just such a different world out, on the, that suburbia East Coast. And then you drive through farmlands and you get to the mountains. But I have to say that Spearfish in South Dakota is just a hidden gem. It is so beautiful. People are so nice. It's so relaxed. They're unhurried. It's really, really nice part of the country. I've seen more deer in the last 24 hours than probably my entire life. I mean, it's really, really nice and comfortable and safe. And
it is.
Yeah.
People talk about Minnesota nice, right? But when we were on our way out here, I had my first full-blown conversation at a urinal with somebody from Rapid City.
Really?
Yeah. We stopped to get food at a gas station, and I go into this bathroom in a Subway, and it's like they got you packed in there like sardines. I mean, so I doing my business, and this guy's doing his business, and he just turns and looks right at me, and he goes, "How's it going, partner?" And I was like, pretty good. He's like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, okay, I guess we're going to do this. I am from Minnesota, and we had a full-blown he was asking me all kinds of questions. What are you doing out here? What's going on? Oh, have a great time. This whole conversation took place. He's washing his hands, and then, all right, well, have a good trip. Walks out the door. I'm like, wow, that's a whole different level of kindness.
Yeah, that was a little bit TMI, but thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
He did lose his bow too, so
Okay, all right. It's been quite an experience, and it's beautiful. God bless America. This is a really, really special place. But what's been very interesting, I've just been I'm trying to study history a little bit, and I was just listening to an audio book about Crazy Horse when I'm driving, and listening to it and them talking about these historic sites and historic battles, and then there's Little Bighorn, and here's all the same kind of sacred, hallowed land, and just it's a very I didn't want to get into this in the podcast because it's so hard to articulate the kind of the sorrow of the history of our land, of what we've done to the Native people to steal their land and push them out, and all the history of the buffalo, and there's so much history and culture of this country that we're that I'm very blessed and lucky to be able to visit and see and just try and wrap my head around our existence and why we're here.
Because actually, I went to Black Hill State. That is in Spearfish.
Okay.
And I graduated with an American Indian Studies degree and a history degree. And it's funny that you're talking about the Little Bighorn, because when we were coming back from Big Sky, and that, it's one of those things when you look and you, like I'm talking to Ashley because me and her and I were sitting in front of I'm going, look up there. Because you can see it, from the interstate, you can see it.
Yeah.
And I'm going, Custer was a dumbass.
Yeah.
Because you have nowhere to go out here. I mean, you're in the River Valley or you're up in its plains. Like, I wouldn't have done that. Like, I mean, you're trying to conquer. I mean, you know what I mean? What he was trying to do, he was arrogant and this and that. But I'm saying, I think I would have just done something differently.
Right.
I would love to have been back when Lewis and Clark came up. But I'd rather have Sitka when I did that.
Right.
Because I really don't want to wear all those heavy skins.
Yeah. Yeah. By neither are they looking at the land for what they can take from it, where there's gold or fur or trappings, where they're just existing in it,
And that's that's a question that, like, I was talking to somebody about John Coulter because he was a John Coulter fan too, and it was one of those things like John Coulter just about got back to St. Louis and turned around and went back up. He never came back to civilization till 8 years later. Now, was he exploring? Was it something inside him? Then he goes back to Missouri and dies because he became a farmer. What's inside you that makes you live or die?
Right. What pushes us? What makes us interested? What's, spontaneously motivating us? What makes us want to shoot arrow after arrow and spend all this time and money to come here just to shoot our bows? It's something inside of us that's pulling us to this, pulling us outside, pulling us to nature.
And what's pulling you, see, I'm glad we shot together again this morning, because you said you didn't want to go rifle hunting. You'd rather go with your bow.
Yeah.
What's pulling you not to go rifle hunting?
I don't know. Yeah. I've had moments where, going back to jiu-jitsu, where I'm like, why do I like this? This is so weird. Like, why do I like, this pursuit? And you can't really, I can't articulate it, and I can't put a name to it. But when something is pulling us from the inside and making us want to do this, you just have to go with it. It's inevitable. I mean, but it's our human desire,
You pass the test very well with me, because the wildflowers were wonderful last year.
Yeah.
And you're coming down and you're looking at the wildflowers and I'm looking at the wildflowers. And that, to me, is somebody that's seeing more than just the view. And, we're seeing the view, the bigger view.
Well, this is why I think I needed this, these kind of events and these kind of, interactions is because it's so easy to get caught up in day to day and getting busy. And one of your last podcasts with Sloan, you talked about the book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry,
Yep.
and how I really needed that book and that idea to slow down, don't be in a hurry. Doesn't mean I need to, not get things done, but just be in the moment, because that's, I think, a lot of unhappiness in my life personally, and just kind of anxiety of just being busy and kind of abrasive, is if I'm not in the moment and enjoying the company that I have and in the place that I am, and I'm thinking about what's next. And that's why I really, enjoy these moments and these activities, because we have to be in the moment. When you're shooting your bow, and what I really, really love about archery that I had I kind of found in shooting guns, is that when you are focused on your pin and your sight and everything's coming together, you have to be in the moment. You have to be focused. I can't be thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner, or, a laundry list of emails that I need to send. You have to be in the moment when you're out here. And I think hunting, tenfold. So I like these activities that bring you back to that, centeredness of being in the moment. So
I've had several conversations with people about that. It's very common for individuals with ADHD to really enjoy shooting a bow, because it gives you that ability to do that hyper focus, but all the noise in your head just stops.
That inner monkey that's always chatting, that monkey brain is just silenced. Even if it's just for a moment when you're at full draw, that's all I need, just a little bit of peace.
And even for all of us, because, right, you get to that moment where sometimes we're talking and whatever, we don't get too crazy with it. We're just trying to have fun, but sometimes it's like, okay, they're shooting. We all just inherently get silent. And I'm not thinking about anything other than just watching that person shoot. Yeah.
And if it's a longer shot, like today we were talking, like that longer shot where we're like you're getting ready to shoot, and then you shoot, and then there's that silence until it hits the target.
A little bit longer for my arrows. Yes. A little bit more of a curve.
But everybody waits for that foam hit.
Yeah.
It's before we even start talking. So you get 2 or 3 seconds of complete silence, which is, it's unwritten. Nobody says be quiet, but it's just to that point.
Yep. Where it's all coming together.
Yes.
Yep.
And and then if you hit or miss, then it's either a woo or it's a ooh.
Oh, yeah. You're like crunch. Woo. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But nobody remembers the good shots.
Yeah.
They remember the one that bounces up, or you know what I mean, or your arrow gets exploded or whatever. But but we come out. I remember that we had good shots today because we still have a quiver of arrows.
Yep. Yeah. Renzo Gracie has a saying: "There's no winning or losing. There's only winning or learning." So either you win or you learn.
Yeah.
So,
and
winning is a lot more fun. I don't know about you guys.
And you can still learn. Not the hard way.
Yeah.
Right?
But look at, like, Matt's going up and get the arrows because he's a young one, which is awesome there for us. But
very nice.
But we're all, like, there is unwritten things said that nobody needs to say, I'm going to go pull those arrows, or I'm going to carry your bow, or I think the world needs to learn that you live in a different cultural area than we do. I live in a different cultural area than Ricky does. But isn't that funny that we all come together and we can just be friends?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
with a common activity.
Yes, with a common activity.
Yep.
I think one of these days I'm going to message you or call you. Can I call you there?
Sure. Yeah, our phones work.
Well, that's where I was going with this, just to make a joke.
There's power failures. Just phone should still work.
So
I'll get it.
If you have power to battery, yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Send me a fax.
But carrier pigeon.
I think it would be fun. I've never done. I wrestled in high school, but I've never done jiu-jitsu. And I think it'd be fun to do like come down there and say, "Hey, kick my ass."
I think there's dojo and spearfish.
That'd
It's a lot easier to make this happen.
Yeah, we could do that.
We're just
schools
looking
popping
for
all over.
We're just looking
I
for
love our
tax
trip,
right
too.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Some time on the beach. You
Yep.
know.
Yeah.
But it'd be fun. That'd be fun to have you come up to Spearfish and say, "Can you come and kick my ass for a bit?" Because and it's funny, but it's also in a serious manner. It's like I was watching your video of the other day that you posted of that person coming at you, and I was thinking, you know what, and we were talking about this too, about certain situations where you're tiny.
Thank you.
You are. Is that?
Yeah, no,
is that
women
good?
always we want to be, skinnier and younger.
Okay. Well,
So, yeah, thanks.
you're tiny and you're 25.
Perfect. Love that. Lunch is on me.
Nice. That's what I'm
Good
talking
job.
about. Only me hanging.
But learning to get to know you has been a privilege.
Thank you, Rick. And I
Yes.
can say the same for you too.
Agreed.
Yep. Thanks.
So-
Thanks for welcoming me into your inner circle. So
And you're
yeah.
there for life then.
Thanks.
So
It's
you
fun.
don't even have to do anything like to become a 1%er or whatever they are, in the motorcycle gangs.
I'm in it.
You're already in
I'm
it.
I'm in it. Yeah,
So-
I'm with the cool kids.
The last question we ask
Okay.
is, what's the good life to Melissa?
Wow. That's a big question. I think being in the moment, enjoying where I am, not looking to what's next, not trying, not struggling for something more,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just that feeling.
That's a good one.
Yep.
It's kind of like finding your peace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. I believe that too.
Yeah.
Because I've talked before in another podcast, like there's a turmoil in life sometimes, but when you find your peace, I could die tomorrow and have that peace. And not that I don't want to do more stuff in my life,
Yeah.
but the turmoil has finally left me,
Yeah.
and I'm at peace.
Yeah. I made a joke to my jiu-jitsu school before I left. I said, lined up at the end of the class, said, okay, and if I die on my trip, the school is in good hands. And no one laughed. And I was like, I meant that kind of as a joke, but kind of real. And maybe it's because I joke a lot with my nieces and nephews. Like, if I die, you can have my knife collection. And my littlest nephew was like, yes, wait, what? wait, no, Auntie Mel. Like, yes, I want your knives, but no, please don't die yet. But yeah, I kind of agree. They say hoka hey, it's a good day to die.
Yep.
And if we've lived the best we can up until this moment. And I think that's one big thing that hunting has kind of reminded me and taught me, is that all life will expire. That's the one thing that we can count on. It's just a question of how and when, so whether it's at the end of our broadhead, or, that we've brought that about, but every animal is going to die. So we want to take it as ethically and as quickly as possible, but that's part of life. That's how we eat. That's what we're going to eat for lunch.
Yes.
And it's odd, because I'm in a lot of people in my world and that I interact with and that I have social media with don't understand that, and they don't realize that. Why? How could you do that? How could you take that elk? It's like, well, why can't you just go to the grocery store? I'm like, how is this any different? Like, I'm going to moralize. Obviously, I think it's better to take it ourselves and be part of that process, and it's healthier and cleaner than that poor animal that's lived its whole life in a factory farm. But yeah, I mean, I've gotten a lot of heat from, even before I left, someone said, hey Mel, you're going hunting this year, maybe don't post it on social media, because all the dog lovers. I'm like, I love my dog, but I'm still gonna I still
100%.
I'm still a
Yeah.
meat eater, so it's kind of it's a weird world where people are so triggered by so many things.
Yeah.
Well, you just brought me into I had a statement and I had a question. Now I have another interesting thought here. But isn't it funny that you can go to Yellowstone and you can see a wolf or a bear kill, and they can rip the animal apart, and people want to video that.
Nature is metal.
Nature is metal. But if you go kill one cleanly and ethically very quickly, they don't like that.
Right.
So that, to me, is kind of contradictory.
Yeah.
Or there's the flip side of it too. If that is afflicted upon the predator, that's a major problem as well.
Yes. And the other, this other statement I want to make is, you're not going to die, Rusty. That's for sure.
Hopefully I'll die in a ball of flames. Just like, shot out of a cannon.
Yes.
Like, remember your auntie Mel.
And the third thing I'd like you to do is tell us a dad joke.
One that you haven't heard before?
Well, you can tell one we heard on the way down here, or
Okay.
one.
So this is not going to come across well. And a lot of the dad jokes, they're so bad
I know.
that I can't tell them without laughing. So one of my favorites, okay, a lion and a cheetah, they had a race. The cheetah won, and the lion said, "You're a cheetah." And the cheetah said, "You're a lion." See, it's so bad that it's... So sometimes I can't even tell them without laughing.
All right.
So people just laugh at me, not with me, at me, telling them. That's probably my number one.
Awesome.
Rick, you got one?
I had one and then I forgot it.
I got one. Maybe you
Okay.
can you think about while I'm telling this one. This was one of my dad's favorites. So two fish are swimming upstream, and one of them hits a wall. The other one goes, "Damn!"
God, I wish I had one. Because I sit and watch those dad jokes just to laugh at them. And
Oh my gosh. There's something wrong with me that I like this
so,
I do want to go back and say something about the question that we ask, what's the good life? And I'm glad you asked it, because I was like, oh man, because you were starting to wrap it up, and I'm like, am I gonna have to ask the question this time? And you got in there, but how it can be like very much the opposite, right? So, man, maybe I should do some stand up.
yeah, you should.
Just kidding.
It'll never work. Never work. I'm really weird.
There'd be like two people in the audience hysterically laughing, and everybody else would be booing.
There we go. Yeah.
But when you're talking about the book, that you've been reading, and that sort of kind of seemed to play a role in what the good life is for you, like living in the moment and doing those kinds of things. And I oftentimes find myself, I don't know if I've ever really struggled to live in the moment. Where I'm at is I struggle to look towards the future. And so I'm just so focused on what's going on right now with everything, and not so much what's going to happen down the road, or how is life going to get or be if I make this decision now. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, this is what I want to do right now. And of course you think of some of that stuff, but it's almost kind of the opposite a little bit. So I'm working on trying to plan for the future more, you know what I mean? But still I'm sure there's still a ton I could learn from that book, right? Because even in living in the moment right now, maybe I'm not doing it efficiently, or maybe in a way that I should be, right? So I just thought it was kind of interesting, and that's what I love about that question, because it can be almost a 180 from one person to the other.
Yeah.
And same with the Book of Joy, because that was one book you should read someday.
Okay.
Because it's about the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. They have conversation between the Buddhist philosophy and the Christian philosophy, and how they see it differently. And it is interesting to me because I've read a lot of the Dalai Lama's books, and it's all about being a better person. I attribute, like, if you go to Australia, you're here in North America, if you look at any indigenous people, and then you look at any other type of religion or philosophy or something, most of the time they're connected in some way. Because when I was in Australia, I was like in a Aboriginal art store, and they knew I was from the plains of South Dakota because I have no problem talking to people, and they were trying to. They were really looking towards the American Indian as compared to their Aboriginal roots. And I said, you have a great culture here. Embrace it. And that's where I'm saying, even though we're all connected in some way, but we just have a different story. And that's, you have a different story, I have a different story, Ricky has a different story.
Yeah,
but guess what? We're sitting here right now
we're
in
all
a cabin.
Humans existing. Yep.
And we're in Terry Peak. Talking, shooting, so.
Yeah.
So
God bless America.
God bless America. You have anything else?
Thanks again for joining us for this, taking time out. You could be out there having a blast, and unfortunately you're stuck with us.
Thanks, Ricky Squared.
And our really cool dad jokes.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate it, and it's always a pleasure to shoot with you, and just great talking with you. Good. Nice getting to know you more. Yeah.
Thank you, Rick and Rick.
Yeah, and thank you. So Don't Die Rusty fans, as always, don't die rusty and keep chasing your dreams.
Boo!
I love it. Have a good day, everybody.